All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to day 9 of the Sean Combs trial. I'm Pugs Moran. We are RadioMisfits.com, and every night we are breaking down all of the events that occur in that Manhattan courtroom every single day of the trial. This is day 9, and we had a big one today, but I did get some pretty bummer news. I do this every night. I love doing this. They announced that this is it. This is the last day of trial until after Memorial Day. So they're going to be going on a break today, day 9. This will be the last update that we'll be doing until, I guess, Tuesday of next week. Court will resume after the Memorial Day break. Judge Aram Subramanian, who I'm becoming a huge fan of, he was making some jokes. He was talking about how this would be a nice time, nice break for him to watch the Knicks, right? He's judge letting us know a little bit about himself. He's a stickler for keeping to a schedule. We know that. We've seen that over the first 9 days. We appreciate that. Also, a basketball fan. He also likes the jokes. He's been joking with the jury, trying to keep them comfortable. Yesterday, he joked that during the sidebars, where the attorneys approach and have a private conversation that is intended to be out of earshot of the jury, during sidebars, they play a little white noise, right? So that the jury has, a wall of sound between them and the conversation. He was joking. He's like, yeah, we'll get you some music in here. We're doing so many sidebars. We got to get you some music. He's out there telling jokes. Judge Aram Subramanian's got jokes for days. Let's see. Today was a big day, though. We don't want to, let's not mess around. Let's get to the details of today, because if we're going to go out and we're going to take a couple of day break here over the Memorial Day weekend, may as well have a big one, and that's what we got today. Today we heard from Kid Cudi. They've been teasing us with Cudi, and yesterday, if you were listening, you heard me a little bit worried. I'm like, well, they said Cudi was going to be there on Wednesday, but now all of a sudden he's got something he's got to do. Whoa, what has he got to do? What has Kid Cudi in 2025 got to do that's more important than this? Nobody has mentioned this guy's name in a decade, and all of a sudden he's, headlines in New York newspapers, hell, newspapers all over the world, and he's got something to do? Yeah, you tell that. I don't know who you're trying to sell that story to. So Cudi did take the stage today, yesterday, or the stage, the chair, the stand. I believe it's called a stand. It's what smart people refer to it as. Cudi took the stand today. I was a little worried. Here's what I'm beating around the bush with. I was wondering, did he get to Cudi? Did he get to Cudi? And all of a sudden, Cudi's not going to be this wham bam, thank you, ma'am, dropping the A-bomb that the prosecution thinks his testimony is going to be. Well, we'll find out. We heard from Cudi today. We also heard from Frederick Zemmour. Don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. Don't really care, if I'm being honest with you. Frederick Zemmour took the stand after Cudi today. He's the manager of the L'Hermitage Hotel Beverly Hills. La Hermitage Hotel, Beverly Hills. That's who Frederick Zemmour is the manager of. And apparently it was a favorite spot for Diddy. Diddy did a lot of things there. And Freddie took the stand. And did you know this? I don't know if this is a thing for all of us. Probably not. I can't imagine they'd waste their time. But they got secret files on celebrities, like hotels, for when he stays, like what they want. So old Freddie took the stand and told us about the La Hermitage Beverly Hills secret file on Diddy. So that was interesting. We'll hear about what else? Then we heard from celebrity makeup artist Mila Morales. Mila Morales was Cassie's makeup artist. She's also she's been a lot of people's makeup artist. Rihanna, Paula Abdul, Mariah Carey. It seems like she's got a lot of experience covering up black eyes and stuff. Between Rihanna and Mariah, and Cassie. So she's going to take the stand. She's going to talk about all the time she had to cover up fat lips and black eyes and, what she saw and all that. All right, so we had a full day of people taking the stand, a lot of testimony, a lot of good testimony. I don't know. I've been telling you this every episode at the start, where I'm leaning, how I'm feeling. I've been pretty consistent, and that hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. The prosecution, to me, is not making their case. The case the prosecution is needing the jury to buy is that Sean Diddy Combs is some sex trafficking global mastermind who ruled with an iron fist, and everybody was horrified to be around him, and nobody could quit because they were afraid of his well-known violent tendencies. That is the case that they are trying to sell. They are not making that case. They just aren't. I'm sorry. The case that's being made is that Sean Diddy Combs is a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit. He's a jerk. He's arrogant. He's a narcissist. He can have anything he wants whenever he wants because he's got money to burn and everybody's afraid of him. Okay? That's not what he's being charged with. What he's being charged with, I have not seen the prosecution make any progress with in these first 9 days. Now, Kid Cudi taking the stand. That was going to be a good one because this is he is directly tied to a major charge that the prosecution is trying to sell, which is that Diddy firebombed Cudi's car. The Kid Cudi's car exploded around the time that he was dating Cassie, and it's been well considered on social media and all of that over the years that it was Diddy who blew up the car. That is one of the primary charges that the feds are charging him with. This whole arson and explosives. They carry big charges. So they got to sell that. And Cudi was supposed to be the guy that was going to come and he was going to sell that. Well, Diddy, stay tuned. We'll talk all about what Cudi had to say. A couple of fun facts, though, before we get into breaking down the testimony. Here's a weird fun fact that we learned today. Okay, we learned this from, we learned it from his personal assistant. That's right. I should say his personal assistant opened up the day. His personal assistant was on the stand yesterday for a while, and then they cut him short, and he opened up the day. And one of the first things that he let slide out there in court that did not go over well with the jury. It's weird, like little things. And it was introduced, I should add, by the defense. The defense, upon cross of Diddy's former assistant, introduced this little fun fact. And I think they introduced it to humanize Diddy, to make, the jury go, oh, yeah. Instead, it had the opposite effect. Everyone in the courtroom noted that the jury seemed repulsed by this. So what is it? Here's what we found out. Diddy likes to put applesauce on his cheeseburgers. He smears applesauce on his cheeseburger. Put the man in jail for that. I ruin a good cheeseburger. I thought, I'm angry at people who put bacon on cheeseburgers because nothing ruins a cheeseburger like some poorly cooked bacon. Yeah, sure. Just, you don't have bacon. That's fine. Just put some shards of glass on the top of the cheeseburger. I want to tear up the roof of my mouth with your overcooked bacon. It's the worst. But applesauce, that might be even worse. Applesauce might be even worse than bacon. So we learned that. That was fun fact number one. By the way, here's an account from the jury here. Sean Diddy Combs bizarrely puts applesauce on his cheeseburger. Disgusted jurors learned. The Bad Boy Records mogul's preference for applesauce-laden burgers has come up twice this week during his sex trafficking and racketeering trial, including Thursday morning, as his former assistant George Kaplan took the stand for the second day. Kaplan outlined the items that assistants needed to keep at the ready for Diddy, such as, well, of course, baby oil. Yeah, gotta have baby oil. The man likes his baby oil. That is not being overstated. I thought that was being overstated for comedic value, but no, this trial has been all about the baby oil. Kaplan outlined the items that assistants need to keep at the ready for Diddy, such as baby oil, or how about this one? This is one we can all relate to: paying for yachts. Two things. Let me tell you, I know it's your first day as Diddy's new assistant. Two things you always got to be on top of: paying for yachts. Nothing Diddy likes worse than when he gets embarrassed, because he didn't pay for a yacht. So you got to always have money to pay for a yacht. You never know when a yacht bill is going to come in. So as a Diddy assistant, number one, you always have to have money on hand to pay for a yacht, an unexpected yacht bill. Oh, and one other thing, applesauce. Gotta have applesauce. I know it's a weird one, but Diddy, he loves the applesauce. So always have money on hand to pay a last-minute yacht bill and applesauce. All right, other than that, Kaplan outlined the items that assistants need to keep at the ready, such as baby oil and paying for yachts, and applesauce, asked Combs' lawyer. Combs' lawyer introduced applesauce. Gotta have applesauce, right? Because Diddy's such a lovable character. He loves this. Oh, why does the jury look grossed out? Oh, that was a miscalculation on my part. I thought people would like that he puts applesauce on. Why don't you tell us about the time he kicked his dog there, Mark? Mark Agnafilo, lead counsel for Diddy, with a bit of a miscalculation, methinks. Mr. Combs loves applesauce, and he eats it on the side of just about everything, including burgers, Kaplan responded. Cheeseburgers? Agnafilo asked. Cheeseburgers being one of the items, Kaplan said. His world was the size of the earth. He was doing business all over the world, and he liked applesauce. The eccentric applesauce burger pairing also came up Tuesday as David James, another of Combs' former assistants, testified about his time working for the hip-hop star. Jurors visibly grimaced when Agnafilo mentioned that Combs liked applesauce on his cheeseburger, with one juror making a gag-like gesture. Yeah, see, that didn't go over well. You think you're gonna float a balloon here, and the jury's gonna go, oh, he's just like my son, or whatever, But it didn't work, did it? No, people are fucking grossed out by that. Fun fact number 2. This also comes from Kaplan. Kaplan was the former personal assistant. Kaplan reiterates that Kim Porter was always Diddy's number one. This was also on cross. And this is something that we're seeing from the defense. And this is very important because they did it again. The defense is trying to establish over and over again that Diddy had a lot of women. He's Diddy. He can have any women than he wanted. There's a lot of women in his world. Not just Cassie. There were a bunch. But they have restated time and time again with different witnesses during cross-examination something that Kaplan said again today. Kaplan's testimony also delved into Combs' relationships with Cassie Ventura and a woman only known as Gina. So at this time, he was seeing Cassie and a woman known as Gina. Both of these women were girlfriends of Combs, Kaplan explained, as compared to Kim Porter, the producer's longtime love and mother of his 3 children. Mr. Combs, here's a direct quote from the stand. And this is intentional by the defense. The defense wants to establish this. And this was a witness for the prosecution. So again, the defense has turned a witness for the prosecution into saying something that is going to be beneficial to the case that the defense is trying to make. And that case is Cassie is delusional. That Cassie was not a prisoner. Cassie wasn't his number one girl. Over and over again, the defense has tried to get it stated on the record that everybody, personal assistants, bodyguards, all of these people have come up. They have all said that in Diddy's universe of the time, Cassie was not the number one girl. Kim Porter was. So here's what Kaplan had to say. Mr. Combs always seemed to have an extra gauge of patience when it came to Miss Porter. Miss Porter seemed to make Mr. Combs really happy, even when he was otherwise not. He wasn't going around treating everybody poorly all the time, but he treated her, Miss Porter, in a really special manner, very different from how he treated the others. That guy saying that Cassie is not the most important, that Kim Porter was the most important, that guy said that on the stand. He was supposed to be helping the prosecution. And what he did was he leaned right into a narrative that we have heard from the defense now all 9 days, that Cassie wasn't as important as she seems to think she is. And on a couple levels. One, that's just got to hurt Cassie, right? I mean, Cassie's a beautiful woman who I bet a lot of men in her life haven't been like, yeah, I'm going to choose the other girl. I don't know that Cassie is used to being just the girlfriend, so that's got to hurt. But also what it does is it says that This world that Cassie is claiming to have been a victim of was a world created in her own delusions. That's not what I am saying. That is what I am saying. It appears the defense is trying to set up. Diddy had a lot of chicks, man. Cassie was just one of them. God, she's a crazy ex-girlfriend. This is like the worst case possible of the crazy ex-girlfriend. And yeah, at the same time, the defense is leaning into, so how many times did he knock her around? And why are they doing that? Well, because he's not being charged with that. Because they can say all they want about him beating the fuck out of women, which is highly illegal. But the prosecution never got around to charging him for that because the prosecution saw glory. The prosecution saw life imprisonment. Prosecution saw, let's paint this guy as some global supervillain. Got ahead of themselves. For what reason, I don't know. But they ain't making their case. And the defense is making a case that it's just a crazy ex-girlfriend. She is blowing this way out of proportion. Yeah, he's a shitty boyfriend. He beats the fuck out of his women. Maybe when this is all done, you'll circle back around and try and charge him with that, but I don't know. I don't think you can. That's what the defense is saying. And they're making their case. And the prosecution, instead of trying to establish a foundation of real freaky, scary, serious law violations, all the prosecution has been doing for 9 days is talking about dildos and how he likes weird sex stuff. None of which is illegal. It is all a part of 9 days of this endless state-funded humiliation campaign. And I can't believe I'm saying that. I am no Diddy fan. But I'm not seeing a guy who I was told I was going to be introduced to over the course of this. Now, there's still a couple of big people who are going to take the stand, and I don't know. Maybe I'm not just a lawyer, or maybe that's it. Maybe I don't know the law well enough. I am just a civilian. Are they going to flip this? Like, is this a part of some long play on the part of the prosecution where they're going to M. Night Shyamalan this thing, and we're all going to go, whoa, I never saw that come. I don't know. But it feels like in 2 weeks, they have been on the ropes the entire time. Fun fact number 3 before we get into the testimony. We had another Diddy fan removed. Remember the first couple of days of the trial? One dude got arrested 2 days in a row out in front doing crazy stuff. Now we got somebody inside, somebody who actually got inside. Diddy fan was forcibly removed from court. An apparent fan of Sean Diddy Combs was escorted out of the courtroom during a break in testimony after he held up a makeshift sign for the fallen music mogul to see. The man scrawled something faintly on a piece of paper and held it up for the Bad Boy Records founder to see. Combs, upon seeing it, put his glasses on before saying, I can't see it. The man then came forward to the second row of the courtroom gallery with the writing, and Combs responded, thank you, man, as he tapped his chest. When a courtroom marshal finally got his head out of his ass and realized that this isn't something that's supposed to be happening, it says here, when a courtroom marshal realized what was going on, he grabbed the piece of paper, and the supporter was then forcibly ejected from the courtroom. All right, so there you have it. Those are our fun facts. Now let's get into the testimony from today, day 9 in the Diddy. Sorry, I'm thirsty. I need something to drink. My voice is terrible. It's raw and it's sore. You can probably hear it. It hurts as much as it sounds, so I do apologize. George Kaplan started the day. George Kaplan is Diddy's former personal assistant. We heard from him yesterday. Today he was taking the stand. Prosecution finished up pretty quickly, and then it was the defense's turn. George Kaplan is back on the stand. He is, of course, the former assistant. Kaplan, who worked for Combs between 2013 and 2015, testified as to how he booked rooms for Diddy under a bunch of fake names. Frank Black, we already heard about that. Frank Black was one of the names. He told the jury about how he also saw Diddy rough up another girlfriend named Gina. And now we're hearing about Gina again. Okay, so we heard that, remember when Cassie was, his number one and a prisoner, and her career was being held over her head and all that stuff. Remember? Well, there's Gina too. Gina was there. Gina, this is now a couple of people who have mentioned Gina. Remember, Gina and Cassie were just girlfriends, but Kim Porter was the special one. Kaplan testified that he saw Diddy throw decorative apples at Gina in a fit of rage. He told the jury about how he saw his boss chuck apples at Gina. The Bad Boy Records founder took decorative apples that were in the entryway of his Miami mansion and chucked them at Gina in 2015. Kaplan also testified that Combs threw them hard. He was angry. Did he throw the apples hard? He threw them real hard. He was angry. I mean, decorative apples. He's a bitch. We've seen examples of this. We've seen the video. He's a horrible, horrible fucking person. We know this about Diddy. We've seen examples of it. He's obnoxious, narcissistic, drunk on his own delusion. He throws shit. We saw him in the video at the Intercontinental, the video released by CNN, the video that, kind of started this whole thing. We saw him chuck some glass vase across a room. So we know he does this. He throws apples hard. All right, so there you go. So he's a dick to Gina too. No surprise there. Kaplan says that he threw them hard and that he was very angry. Kaplan also testified about chaos breaking out during a 2015 fight between Diddy and Cassie on a private jet. Oh, we've heard about this too. The private jet story. All right, so let's get into this. Kaplan said Combs and Cassie got into it on a private jet in 2015. They were behind a partition on the jet, which was ajar. And he could see, so he's looking, the partition, the door is a little bit closed. He can see through it, so he's looking through. He's in the jet. He says, I looked over my right shoulder and I saw Mr. Combs standing over Cassie, who was on the ground. He then said that he saw Ventura on her back with her legs hiked up in an attempt to create space between Combs, who was hovering over her. Combs had a whiskey glass in his hand when the tremendous commotion broke out, and Ventura was screaming, and this is important, Diddy's former assistant testified that he witnessed Cassie on her back being beaten up by Diddy and screaming on a plane full of Diddy employees, isn't anyone seeing this? Now that's point. There you go. That's points for the prosecution. That is because here's what the prosecution with this guy, Kaplan, testifying to this. What he's doing is he's explaining to the jury that there was this environment of permissiveness when it came to the stuff that Diddy did. Now, the prosecution, if they're trying to build that he was this, godfather who ruled through fear, this is kind of important. You can build on this. We're going to need more, but now you do have somebody testifying that in the middle of all this, in 2015, Cassie kind of called timeout and said, is nobody seeing this? I'm being beat up right here in front of all of you people. Isn't anyone seeing this? Kaplan testified that Cassie was screaming. The former assistant said no one responded, including Combs' security detail. He said that he himself didn't do anything or call police because he was too, quote, mesmerized by working for Combs. He says, I was 23 years old. He says, I was 23 years old and all I wanted to do was have a great job in the entertainment industry. I could not believe my good fortune to be working with such an icon. All right, so in this exchange on the stand, you've got Kaplan, the former personal assistant, who is there on behalf of the prosecution. The prosecution wants him telling his story on the record. He gave them a bit of a victory when he quoted saying that he saw this in front of all of these people. Cassie saying, isn't anyone seeing this? And he's, saying that nobody did anything. Now we're going to call some more of those people that were on that plane, right? So now they'll double back to this when they're on the stand. They'll say, did you also hear her say, isn't anyone saying? So they're trying to establish something there. But here's the problem. It's in this next thing. Because remember, the prosecution needs you to believe that all of these people were being held captive, that they didn't have a choice, that they said nothing because they were afraid of the physical violence that would be brought down upon them by Diddy, right? That's what the prosecution needs you to believe. Why didn't anybody say that? And then you got this guy And he says flat out, the reason I didn't say anything is because I was mesmerized by him. Well, that's not illegal. What that means, that just means that you're a fucking fan. That just means that you are dazzled by star power and that you marginalize what your normal moralistic response to these situations should be. You marginalize them because you just think it's so cool to be with Diddy. You're just a jerk. That's what you are. You're a jerk. Okay? You're not there. You're not, oh, I couldn't say anything because I was afraid he'd kill me. And if I did what I really wanted to do, which is go to the police and do the right thing because I'm a good boy. No, you didn't do it because you dug the lifestyle. Okay? That's bad for the prosecution. And the defense is out there establishing this right here. So it's not that you didn't say anything because you were afraid of what a global godfather in the underworld he was. No, you didn't say anything because you dug VIP service. Because you like the lifestyle. Here's a quote now. He says, I was 23 years old. All I ever wanted to do was have a great job in the entertainment industry. Well, that's not a great job. How do you define a great job? It's all about the sizzle. You're just a fucking sycophant. That's all. You would let a star do whatever they wanted because you're friends with a star. And that is gross and it's sickening. But it doesn't help the prosecution's point. It doesn't help the prosecution's case. It just proves that celebrities have a bunch of fucking sycophants who will do whatever they want and will turn a blind eye whenever they want. And it's not because they're afraid of getting roughed up. It's because, again, they don't want to not be Diddy's assistant. Being Diddy's assistant is a pretty cool gig. If your cousin was Diddy's assistant, all of your friends would know about it. You would tell, oh, my friend's Diddy's assistant. It's a pretty cool gig to have. And being Diddy is probably better. But being his assistant, we can't all be. Not a bad job. And that's why he didn't leave. Not because, he was afraid to leave or whatever. He eventually left. That's the guy who left eventually when Diddy drug him to the confrontation at Mel's Diner with Suge Knight. Remember, we learned about that yesterday. Kramer, why'd you finally leave Diddy? Well, it's because he put a gun in my hand and he said, we're going to go get Suge. And I thought, no, I'm a pussy. Kid Cudi took the stand after Kid Cudi. We were all waiting on Cudi. Now, Kid Cudi in his own right is a bit of a hip-hop star. Not so much lately, but there was a time, he had a cup of coffee as somebody who was relevant in the business. He hasn't been in 10 years. But let me tell you something. I want him to be again. I think it's time for Kid Cudi to make a comeback. Did you see the way this son of a bitch showed up for court today? Oh, my God. The coolest dude in New York. This guy shows up to court. He's wearing jeans. He's wearing like a tight t-shirt. He's got like a leather black biker jacket on, and he's fucking just ripping a nail. He's just walking in. All the photographers are like, they're all taking his pictures, and this dude's just walking through the crowd. He's got a fucking cig hanging out of his mouth. He's pulling like hard final drafts before it drags on it before he's got to go in. He was the coolest son of a bitch in New York. The last time I saw, he's only 41 years old. What's he doing smoking cigarettes? He should be a vape guy, right? He's the vape generation. Nah, he's out there. He's ripping nails. It's 2025. It's like, they won't let me smoke. He's complaining like a guy in 1979. They won't let me smoke in the courthouse anymore. Anyway, so Cudi takes the stand. And we're all excited about this because we know Cudi's got legit beef. Cudi was with Cassie. Cudi loved Cassie. Cudi admitted it on the stand that he was actually in love with her, and that the whole time he was in a relationship with her, which, by the way, we found out all this less than a month. Less than a month. This great Kid Cudi Cassie romance, less than a month. So Cudi, I'll just read it. We'll just go through it, pick it apart as we go. Kid Cudi takes the stand. Kid Cudi is telling the jury that cops came to respond to a home break-in back in December of 2011 after Cassie Ventura called him and told him that Sean Diddy Combs, quote, found out about us. So they'd only been out on a couple of dates. Cudi was under the belief, he testified today, that Cassie and Diddy had broken up. Cudi didn't want any of that smoke. He's like, I don't need to be a part of this nonsense. So they're fucking around. Cassie's telling Cudi that she's not with Diddy anymore, when apparently she still is with Diddy, but she's freelancing. She's going out to see if there's better opportunities. So she hooks up with Cudi. Cudi falls for her. And how could he not? Yeah, I mean, come on. We were looking at Cassie. Cassie is a Ferrari of a woman. Cassie is a beautiful woman, and I imagine she's skilled in the art of seduction. If she wants you to fall in love with her, she's probably good at it. We're learning about Cassie in ways through testimony that I, doesn't really match up with what I didn't know anything about Cassie until this whole thing started. Okay. Of course I know Puff Daddy and all that, but Cassie, I'm sorry. I don't remember who was, number 30 on the charts in 2010. It's just not a, but heading into this, we're all led to believe. I'm like, oh, look at how beautiful she is. Oh, she's so tiny. Oh, she's so sweet. And now we're just learning that she's just, she's a typical hot chick. She's a typical hot chick who, pretty much has had a lot of shit handed to her whole life because she's a really hot chick. She's a bit manipulative. And, I'm starting to see a pattern that the defense has so effectively established that she had a problem with Kim Porter and Kim Porter's ranking in Diddy's female life. Anyway, so Cudi is in a relationship with her. She's freelancing. He thinks that she's single. He doesn't know she's not. She's still with Diddy. So they go out a couple of times, and then he gets a phone call one morning. Kid Cudi, ring, ring, early in the morning, and it's Cassie. He knows about us. He found out about us. And he's mad. All right, so Cudi's like, what? How the fuck did he find out about it? I thought you guys were broken up. What is this? What do you mean he found out about us? Well, God, now I got a Diddy headache I got to deal with. I'm just Kid Cudi, right? So that's what he's going through. Kid Cudi is telling the jury about how Cassie called him one morning and said that Sean Diddy Combs found out about us. The rapper, whose real name is Scott Muscudi, said he was surprised at what Ventura had told him because, quote, I didn't think she was still dealing with Combs. So he didn't know they were together. Cudi said he got a call from Ventura around 5:30 or 6 a.m. 5:30 or 6 a.m.? That ain't because she wakes up at 5:30 or 6 a.m. It's 5:30 or 6 a.m. because they're like taking a break in the middle of another one of these freak-offs that are going for 3-4 days. I mean, I don't know that, but let's try and set the context. Kid Cudi gets a call at 5:30 in the morning from Cassie. What are we thinking? Is Cassie up because she's healthy and she has to water the flowers and walk the dog and, do all that shit? She likes to get her 10,000 steps in before Diddy wakes up at whatever. Is that what we're picturing? Or is it 5:30 in the morning and she's fucking super fucked up because they've been partying all night and she's calling this guy that she's freelancing on her boyfriend who isn't paying enough attention to her just to stir shit up a little more? That's what I think. I think it's 5:30 in the morning and she's like, he found out about us. I mean, my next question would be, how did he find out about us? Because I imagine the answer would be, I told him. They're probably partying. He did something she didn't like. And she was like, well, I'm leaving you and I'm with Cudi. Like, that's probably how he fucking found out. So then, of course, Diddy's like, oh, now I got to get Cudi. And then Cudi's just 5:30 in the morning. He's answering his phone. Some hot chick that he thinks he kind of likes. Yeah, she's cool, or at least he seems. He's calling him at 5:30. He knows about us. He's like, oh, fuck. Now look at me. I'm imagining that Cudi is the guy that's like sound asleep in bed at 5:30 because he's a healthy guy. I don't know. Cudi was probably still up too. These people are probably all still up at 5:30. Point is this. Said he got the call around 5:30 in the morning the day of the break-in. She sounded really stressed and really nervous on the phone. So later that day, Kid Cudi's house gets broken into, right? Hours after Cassie calls him and says, he knows about us, blah, blah, blah. Cudi testified, and then he called the police. So that is a police thing. The police were at his house. There was a police record that on this day his house was broken into. Cudi believes that his house was broken into and it's tied to Cassie and Diddy. All right, that's what he's up there testifying to. Kid Cudi testified that when Cassie Ventura called him that morning, she told him that Sean Diddy Combs had his address. So it's like, he knows about us and he's got your address. Well, how the fuck did he get my address? You had to pull that out of your phone? What? You're telling him about us? You're giving him the address? You created it. Look, I know that this is just speculation, but I have to put myself in the position of a person on the jury. If I'm on the jury, I'm looking at this and I'm going, oh, you created this drama. You're just one of these hot girlfriends who was feeling a little neglected, and you decided to create this fucking shitstorm so that everything's about you for the next 24, 48 hours. That's how it looks. I'm not saying that's how it is. I'm saying that's how it looks. That's how the prosecution is allowing this thing to play out. Cudi testified that Cassie also told him that Combs has his address. Cudi said Ventura told him that she, quote, didn't know what Sean's was going to do. He's got your address. He knows about us. He's got your address, and I don't know what he's going to do. So Muscudi told Ventura to meet him at the Sunset Marquis Hotel in Los Angeles. So he gets the call at 5:30. She's like, he knows about us, and he's got your address, and I don't know what he's going to do. And so Cudi goes, I'm going to go check into a fancy hotel. Come meet me over there. So Cassie goes, and she meets Cudi. Because Diddy's probably mad at her because she just told him that she's hanging, you know what I mean? So it's like weird and awkward around the house and he's not talking to her. So she's like, all right, I'm going to go with Cudi now. So now she's over with Cudi at the Sunset Marquis Hotel. Ventura spoke on the phone with another one of Combs' employees while at the hotel with Cudi. So Cassie Ventura is at the hotel with Cudi, and now she's talking to Capricorn Clark, who we will hear from on the stand when court resumes after Memorial Day. Capricorn Clark at this point is Diddy's personal assistant. Dude goes through personal assistants. So Kid Cudi and Cassie are hiding out at the hotel. Cassie is on the phone with Diddy's assistant, Capricorn Clark, who is in a car outside Diddy's house or outside Cudi's house. Right? So the police don't have any answers on who this person was who burglarized Cudi's house back in 2015 or 2011. But I mean, they know who did it because they were talking to Diddy's personal. Cassie called Diddy's personal assistant while Diddy's personal assistant was sitting in the car outside of Cudi's house while Diddy and whomever were ransacking it. Okay, so this is what Cudi's testifying to. It says here, Ventura spoke on the phone with another of Combs' employee, Capricorn Clark. They were speaking on speakerphone. Capricorn Clark told Ventura and Cudi that Combs was currently inside Cudi's house. So we're gonna hear Capricorn Clark confirm that. All right. So we expect that when court resumes, they're going to bring her up and they're going to say, what about this? Were you outside the car? Were they inside? So it was Diddy who robbed the house. Okay. So they're going to establish that. It says here, Capricorn Clark sounded very scared. She was forced to go along with them over there. She was in a car outside my house waiting for them, Cudi explained from the stand. Goes on to say rapper Kid Cudi told jurors about how he called Sean Diddy Combs that day and planned to confront him at the house. Okay, so Cudi and Cassie are hiding out at the hotel. Why? Because Diddy found out about Cudi and Cassie, and Diddy's on the warpath, and Diddy somehow has Cudi's address, and he's on his way over to Cudi's house. So Cudi and Cassie are hiding out at a hotel. Cassie calls probably her friend from Diddy World, Capricorn Clark, who is Diddy's personal assistant. Capricorn Clark answers the phone. They're like, where are you, Capricorn? She's like, we're outside Cudi's house. Diddy's inside. All right, so what's that establishing? It's establishing that he goes to, This sounds very gangster. I don't know if it sounds very global. You know, it doesn't sound very Yakuza. It sounds more Bloods and Crips, but okay. Clark sounded very scared. Capricorn Clark. She said, Cudi says that she was forced to go along with them. She was in the car outside my house waiting for him. Rapper Kid Cudi told jurors about how Sean Diddy, how he planned to confront Sean Diddy. Sean Diddy Combs. So Cassie's on the phone talking to Capricorn, who's out in front of Cudi's house. Cudi's probably on the bed in the hotel room next to her. In this moment, he calls Diddy, who's inside the house. Here's how that goes down, okay? Motherfucker, you in my house, Cudi testified. He told Diddy when Diddy answered. Motherfucker, you in my house, Cudi recounted. He told Combs by phone as he drove from the hotel back to his home to confront him. What up? Combs calmly responded. I just want to talk to you, Combs said. All right, so that's the phone call between Cudi and Combs. Motherfucker, you in my house. I just want to talk to you. What's up? I just want to talk to you. Cudi responded, I'm on my way over right now. But when Cudi arrived at his home on Hollywood Hills Road, nobody was there anymore. The security cameras for his house were turned away from the front door. Some things had been moved around, and his dog was locked in the bathroom. That's the thing that really upset Cudi the most. He mentions that a couple of times on the stand, that his dog was traumatized. His dog. It's probably Kid Cudi's dog. It's probably some big giant pit bull, right? He also said from the stand, Kid Cudi, some gifts I had bought for my family were opened. Some things I got from Chanel, and my dog was locked up in the bathroom, and she didn't like that. He said he called Combs again, and the hip-hop mogul once again sounded calm. He testified from the stand. He says, I got in the car, and that's when I called Combs again. I was looking for him. I wanted to confront him. I wanted to fight him, you know, Cudi said. I mean, yeah, this dude's just been at his house, put his dog in the bathroom. He didn't like that. He wants to fight him. He planned to go meet Combs, but instead he decided to go to the police. Cudi spent so there you go. So the home invasion, this happened in December. Remember, he had only been dating Cassie for a couple of times. They went out like a couple of times. It wasn't a big thing yet, but it's December, and now they're tied together with this crazy Diddy thing. Diddy's, breaking into Cudi's home. Cudi's living in a hotel because he don't want to fucks with Diddy. All this shit's going on. It's only been a couple of days in his relationship with Cassie. So to escape it all, remember, this is December of 2011. So to escape it all, Cassie says, hey, Cudi, why don't you come home with me to Connecticut to my family home and we'll celebrate Christmas together. So Cudi and Cassie, this is where Cudi is like, I think I'm falling in love with her, so I may as well go. I mean, Diddy will never find us in the suburban Connecticut. So Cudi and Cassie go to Cassie's family's house a couple of weeks later after the break-in in Connecticut. Now, this is where we pick up our story. He says, Cudi spent the 2011 Christmas holiday with Ventura at her family home in Connecticut, and Combs, during this period, had reached out to him a few times during the holiday to find out more about the relationship. Now, this is where it goes kind of squirrely for the prosecution. Remember, the prosecution sees Cudi as somebody who is going to make their case, or at least help them make their case. But this is Cudi now with the defense. Or not with the this is what Cudi, I'm sorry, no, this isn't the defense. Cudi says this on the stand about the Christmas holiday where he was spending time with Cassie's family and Diddy's blowing up his phone. Diddy's trying to get a hold of him. Here's what he says. He says, Cudi spent the 2011 Christmas holiday. Diddy tried to reach out to him and talk to him about what was going on in the relationship between Cassie and Cudi. Cudi said, I told him I didn't want to talk. He wanted to get to the bottom of all this and figure it out. I guess he was completely in the dark. But post break-in, this is Cudi speaking, but post breaking into my house, he says, but post break-in, I didn't want to talk to him. I told him, you broke into my house and you messed with my dog. I don't want to talk to you. All right, now why is that a bombshell? because it's Kid Cudi on the stand admitting that Diddy was calm, that Diddy didn't seem to know anything about Cassie and Cudi's relationship and was just looking for information about it. And Cudi on the stand basically says, yeah, that probably could have been a lot more progress made there, but I was still fucking pissed about the break-in. So I was like, dude, I don't even want to talk to you. But Cudi sat on the stand and went, yeah, Diddy didn't know anything about Cassie running around with Cudi. This was all news to him. And he just wanted to know what the status of the relationship was. That doesn't paint the picture of this, supervillain. It paints the picture of a guy who's like realizing that his girlfriend is like, running around with other guys. I mean, if you're a guy and you've ever been cheated on, you've been there. Maybe. I mean, I think I have, where you talk to another guy and you're like, really? She's with you too? That bitch. And you're both like, that bitch. So, I mean, that's kind of the vibe that Cudi gave off in this testimony, which was supposed to benefit the prosecution. But I'm telling you, for the narrative that the defense is building, this testimony is going to come back to bite the prosecution in the ass. Cudi then went on to talk about his car bombing. This is the famous internet story about Cudi's Porsche that got blown up. This was 2015. I'm sorry. This wasn't 2015. Excuse me. Let's keep the timeline. Because remember, the Cudi-Cassie relationship was only a month. So now we're in January of 2012. Remember, we were just at Christmas in Connecticut at Cassie's family home. So it's Christmas of 2011. Cudi left the family home before New Year's. And so now we are in January of 2012, right? Cudi's car blows up in his driveway. And this is just like 3 weeks now after his house was broken into, 3 weeks after Diddy finds out. He has no, remember, he won't talk to Diddy. Diddy wants to talk. Diddy's being calm. Cudi testifies Diddy was calm and collected. Diddy's trying to talk. Cudi wants nothing to do with it because Diddy was mean to his dog. So what happens? I don't know. One day, Cudi's Porsche blows up in his driveway. So let's get to that story. Just connecting the dots and hip-hop mythology and all of that. For a long time, this is settled science. Diddy blew up Cudi's car. But now we're hearing about it in court because the Los Angeles Police Department didn't do anything about it. Los Angeles Police, it's a cold case. Los Angeles Police Department have no idea who blew up Cudi's car. Cudi took the stand and he talked about his Porsche getting torched. Rapper Kid Cudi told the jury about how his Porsche was set on fire at his house with a Molotov cocktail. The arson attack happened outside the home of Kid Cudi in January of 2012. Cudi at the time was 45 minutes away. He said he got a call from his dog sitter. See, the dog is very important in Cudi's life. Said he got a call from his dog sitter between 6:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. She told me my car was on fire, Cudi said. I immediately went to my home. Jurors were then shown a photo of Cudi's Porsche damaged by a Molotov cocktail. The photo also showed a slash in the convertible top of the car where the Molotov cocktail was dropped in. So they took a knife and they slashed the rag top and they threw a cocktail in there and the car burned up. The photo also showed the top of my Porsche. Here's Cudi now testifying. The top of my Porsche was cut wide open. That's where they seem to have inserted the Molotov cocktail, he testified. He said when he got to the car, he could see the Molotov cocktail bottle, and it was burnt up, and it was sitting on the ground outside the vehicle. He called the police to report the arson incident. But when law enforcement came, they found the bottle in the driver's seat, Cudi said. Here's a quote now, Cudi on the stand. What the fuck, Cudi said. He thought when he saw that the bottle had been moved. I mean, I don't know what the point of that testimony is, whether the bottle's inside or outside the car, but I did think it was a little odd that like Cudi's like, you want to know how corrupt the LA police are? You're just throwing in another, like, Cudi, we don't need this. We don't need to get off in the weeds on where the bottle was. I mean, we're all pretty sure that it was Diddy and his crew that blew up your car. Let's just stick with that. We don't need no great conspiracy here about the bottle. It says here, Cudi then said he reached out to Sean Diddy a few days after his car was firebombed because, quote, I knew he had something to do with it. So Cudi is testifying that he knew that Diddy blew up his car. He says now, here's a quote. He says, I reached out to Sean after my car. I like how they call each other by their names. Like not like Diddy doesn't call Kid Cudi Kid or Cudi, and Cudi doesn't call Diddy, calls him Sean. Sean and Scott. He's just Sean and Scott talking, not Diddy and Cudi. It's Sean and Scott. I reached out to Sean after my car caught fire and told him that we needed to finally meet up and talk, Cudi said. He'd been wanting to talk to me. After the fire, I thought, this is getting out of hand, and I need to sit with him. So Cudi and Combs meet. Where'd they meet? They met at the Soho House in Hollywood. Now, we've also already heard about this. We heard about this from Cassie. When Cassie was on the stand, she talked about the last time that she had seen Cudi, and it was at the Soho House when the two had arranged a sit-down to discuss the firebombing of the car and the break-in and all that stuff, okay? So Cassie already testified to this, but now we're getting another side of it. And again, I don't think this is good for the prosecution. So Cudi and Diddy have a sit-down at the Soho House in Los Angeles. It says here, Cudi said he was escorted into a room by Combs security at the Soho House. D-Rock, they're name-checking D-Rock. I'm guessing we're going to hear from D-Rock. D-Rock's been mentioned a bunch of time in witness testimony, so we'll see if we hear from him. Cudi said that he was escorted into the room with Combs by Combs security guard D-Rock, and the music mogul, Diddy, was staring out a window with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. Can you picture that? Can you picture, look, they're moving, we'll bring you into the private meeting with Diddy now. And so Cudi's walking in with D-Rock. The doors open up. It's like some hotel conference room, big giant windows overlooking the parking lot. And there's Diddy just gazing out across the landscape of Southern California with his arms. Yeah, totally posed, man. Posturing is what that's called. All intimidation. All right, so he said that he was staring out a window with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain, Cudi testified. He said that they talked about when Cudi and Cassie started dating and how it ended. So that's what Diddy wanted to know. Diddy wanted to know when they started dating and when it ended. And that's where Cudi was like, yeah, man, it started like 2 days before you found out. And then it ended like, I don't know, 2 weeks before you blew up my Porsche. Cudi's like, it wasn't a big deal, man. She played us. Remember, this is supposed to be a prosecution's witness. And what he's about to say, again, I think does nothing but hurt the prosecution's contention of who Diddy is and helps with the narrative that the defense have been putting out there. That she's delusional and that she's just a crazy girlfriend and she's looking for, whatever. He said that they talked about when Cudi and Cassie first began dating and how it ended. Here's what Cudi said. Here's a direct quote from Cudi on the stand. Diddy's whole point was that we were homies. That was my girl, was his whole point, Cudi said. I let him know that she told me that they were broken up, and I took her word for it. Cudi said Combs was very calm. It was weird he was so calm, Cudi said. Eventually, now here we go. All right, so have you set this up? All right, so here's the setup. We should talk. Okay, Diddy says, let's meet at the Soho House. So Cudi arrives at the Soho House. This is a home game for Diddy. Diddy's got the room. Cudi is greeted by Diddy's security. Cudi is brought into a big empty room where Diddy is gazing out the window like a supervillain. Diddy turns. He's very calm. Cudi says, eerily calm. Diddy's like, Scott, so glad you could make it. Please, have a seat. And then all he wants to know is, about when his girlfriend, when they started hooking up and all that kind of stuff. Then the big reveal happens. And I'm telling you, this is not a great detail. Remember, it's Cudi meeting Diddy to talk about this whole crazy thing with Cassie. It's just Cudi and Diddy. Then, ta-da! Cassie comes in the room. Like Diddy produced it. Like right there, right in that moment, the great reveal. Here comes Cassie. And what does she do? She probably walks in the room looking all sexy, probably stands behind Diddy, drapes her arms around Diddy as Diddy sits there with Cudi and goes, basically, she chose me. That's all that was. That was all just a big dick fucking competition. He fucking set Cudi up to be ego humiliated because the end of this whole thing is, I torched your Porsche. I broke into your house. I caused you all kinds of problems. And look, at the end of the day, she still chose me. That's the mind fuck that Diddy was going here, okay? Now, why is this a problem? Because Cassie participated in it. Cassie was a willing participant. You just know that she just, at the right moment, when the mood was just right, she walked into the room, probably dead-eye staring Cudi the whole way, and then draped her arms around Diddy. This is my man. That whole fucking thing. That is, again, not a good fucking look for Cassie. That, again, is the defense establishing that she's kind of manipulative. And you know what? All that shit you think about really hot girls and how they're fucking mean. Yeah, that's who she is. That's who the defense, this woman that we saw in this video from the Intercontinental being beaten and ragdolled, this trial started with nothing but good intentions for her. Everybody was just like, that poor girl. The defense had an uphill climb. And guess what? They're not even breathing heavy. They seem to be doing a hell of a job of countering the narrative of Cassie as an innocent victim. And we all saw it with our eyes. That is why this is so staggering that here we sit on day 9 of the Diddy trial, and I'm still looking for anything that justifies these charges that the prosecutions have brought. It says, eventually Ventura came into the room and Muscudi, quote, was upset to find out that she had gone back to Combs. See, Cudi didn't even know that Cassie was back with Combs. So this moment was a mental mindfuck designed to let him know that Diddy won. This is dude ego right here. And this is Cassie playing into it. She's like the evil betraying woman. If this was a movie, we would all be sentimentally attached to Cudi because he seems like the innocent here that just got roped into all this thing. And he fell in love with her and she fell in love with him and they wanted to run away together. But Diddy was evil, right? That's the movie. But then this is the scene in the movie where she reveals herself to be the heel, to have been in on it with Diddy the whole time. And that the only victim that we can see here now, at least in this bullshit, is Kid Cudi. My God, that's the takeaway. And that's not good for the prosecution. At the end, Cudi and Combs shook hands. Let me go back. Eventually, Ventura came into the room, and Cudi was quite upset to find out that she had went back to Combs. Here's what Cudi said when talking about that on the stand. Direct quotes from Cudi. We fell in love. Things just happened. Oh, that's like so sad. It's like he fell in love. Cassie didn't. I think Cassie just used you, Cudi, the whole time to fucking get Diddy all twisted up. Because maybe she wasn't feeling like she was getting enough attention. She needed some. That's what I think. That is the narrative the defense has been really, really good at establishing. We fell in love. Things just happened, Cudi said. At the end, Cudi and Combs shook hands. And Cudi, looking him straight in the eyes while holding his hand, asked, and what are we going to do about my car? Because remember, at the end of this whole thing, he's still got a burnt up Porsche, which, I don't know what Cudi's insurance status was at the moment, but, still a bit of an inconvenience. So at the end of this whole thing, they shake hands like men. And Cudi says, what are we going to do about my car? He looked back at me. He's talking about Diddy. So how did Diddy respond to Cudi saying, what are we going to do about my car? He looked back at me with a cold stare and said, I don't know what you're talking about. But wait, I thought we were cool. Is there a problem? All right, so that's how the Cudi Diddy thing went down. It was all one big mind fuck for Diddy to tell Cudi that he won, that Cassie chose him, that he's nothing compared to Diddy. It was all just an ego breakdown produced by Diddy for Cudi. And at the end of it, shake hands, and Cudi's like, okay, I'm a little stunned by all this, but I'm going to shake hands and we're going to get out of here. And at the end of it, Cudi goes, hey, but wait a second, man. What about my car? And Diddy's like, oh, do we have a problem? All right, so that's the vibe. Like, you get the vibe? It wasn't friendly. It was, oh, do we have a problem? I thought we were cool. I don't know anything about your fucking car. Get the hell out of here. Go home and get your shine box. He looked back at me and with a cold stare said, I don't know what you're talking about. But wait, I thought we were cool. Is there a problem? The two rappers didn't see each other again. And this is another bad point for the prosecution. The two rappers didn't meet each other again for a couple of years. Then again at the So House, where Combs apologized. So, you know, is he a monster, or is he a guy that regrets some of the decisions that he made, and then makes it a point to make it right with the people you may have wronged? The two rappers didn't meet again until a couple of years later, again at the Soho House, where Combs apologized. He said, this is what Cudi said that Diddy said to him. He said, man, I just want to apologize for everything. All that bullshit. I'm sorry, man. Cudi recounted. The pair never had any problems after that. No, Cudi said, no. After I got the apology, I kind of felt at peace with it because that was the last thing that I expected to get from him, an apology, Cudi said. All right, so that was for the prosecution. And I don't think it went all that well. I think it was great. I think it was interesting. I think for people like us who are on the sidelines chewing through all of this, I think there was a lot that he said there with the prosecution's direct examination of Kid Cudi. But I don't think it was necessarily helpful for the prosecution. And just by the opposite, I think it was helpful for the defense. So now the defense gets to sharpen their teeth and they get to go at Cudi. So here's what happened. Brian Steele. We haven't seen Brian Steele. Brian Steele is another member of Diddy's high-powered celebrity defense team. Brian Steele grilled Cudi about how he doesn't have any evidence tying the fallen music mogul to the car bombing. So remember now, the car bombing. Let's forget about the baby oil and the freak-offs and the smearing of jizz on people. Okay, let's forget about all of that. Those are humiliation tactics. They have nothing to do with what the jury is going to have to consider. The car bombing of Kid Cudi's car, that is something incredibly important in this case. So the very first thing Diddy's defense does with Cudi is, all right, let's talk about the car bombing. Let's talk about the car bombing, Brian Steele says. I didn't hear any follow-up, or Cudi said, Brian Steele, a lawyer for Sean Diddy Combs, grilled Cudi about how he doesn't have any evidence that Diddy is tied to the car bombing. Cudi said from the stand, I didn't hear any follow-up from the police about fingerprints or anything. So that's it. That's all he's got. His car, we know his car blew up. We know that he called the police. We know that the police did an investigation. We know the police don't have any answers. So when Brian Steele, Diddy's defense attorney, gets up, and he's like, yeah, okay, so the car bombing happened. So what evidence do you have? What actual evidence? Other than all of this circumstantial stuff, which it's circumstantial stuff. Probably got a better case circumstantially for the break-in since that all happened on the same day, right? You got the call, you fled the house got broken into, you went to, but this is like weeks later. And as he said, he was no longer with Cassie. Cassie and Cudi were no longer a thing when his car blew up. So here's what he said. Brian Steele, a lawyer for Sean Diddy Combs, grilled Cudi about how he doesn't have any evidence that Diddy did the car bombing. Cudi responded, I didn't hear any follow-up from the police about fingerprints or anything. So there is no eyewitness that puts Combs at your house. Is this true, Mr. Cudi? Steele asked. Yeah, Cudi responded. Steele then went on to say, you don't have any information anyone affiliated with Combs was on or around your property on that day, correct? To which Cudi responded, no, I don't. Cudi admits to Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer that he was played by Cassie Ventura. This is what Diddy's defense lawyer did. Diddy's defense lawyer got him to come straight out from the very beginning and say, yeah, all that stuff I was just talking about the prosecution, I'm just guessing. I don't have any proof, but yeah, it seems like it. So the defense got Cudi to do that right from the beginning, and then they got Cudi to say this. This is what the defense got Cudi to admit on the stand. Remember, we're supposed to see Cassie as a victim. We're supposed to see Cassie as this girl who was imprisoned and her career was held over her head. She didn't have any choice. She couldn't leave. It's what we're being asked to believe. Cudi said this on the stand. Cudi admitted to Sean Diddy Combs' lawyer that he was in fact played by Cassie Ventura when she told him that her relationship with the fallen music mogul was over. Brian Steele, Diddy's lawyer, said, she played you, didn't she? To which Cudi responded, yeah, she did. You had no clue that Ventura was still dating Combs when she was with you, did you? Steele asked. I had no clue, Cudi said. She played you both. She's out here creating all of this drama. She's playing you both, is what they established pretty effectively. Ventura was living, it says here, Cudi added that he and Ventura had dated less than a month and that the rapper said he was blindsided when he found out that Diddy and Ventura were actually still together and that Combs was livid about their fling. So he didn't know, Cudi didn't know anything about, Cudi just thought they were broken up and it was all cool. Brian Steele, the defense attorney for Diddy, then asked Cudi, Ventura was living two different lives. Is this true? To which Cudi responded, yeah, she was. This was about a girl, a relationship, and both of you guys were played. Is that true, Mr. Cudi? To which Kid Cudi said on the stand, true. Cudi also admitted that he was in love with Ventura when Steele asked him about it. It didn't go well. And then Cudi's gone. So that was it. That was the great testimony from Cudi. Told some really wild details in the prosecution's direct. And then it was all undone in just a couple of minutes by the defense. You don't have any proof of any of that stuff. Those stories you just told, you got no proof of that, do you? No. Do the police have any proof? No, police don't have any. So you're just like freeballing it on that. That's just a theory. That's just a theory. Oh, hey, also, about Cassie. She's kind of a bitch, ain't she? Yeah, she is. She really is. She played you both. Yeah, she really did. She pitted us against each other. That's what happened. That was the second half. That was the cross of Cudi today. I need the prosecution to have a win. I need this to be, the defense seems to be running up the score after 9 nights here. All right, next on the stand after Cudi was Cassie Ventura's makeup artist. She's a girl named Mila Morales. She's also been the makeup artist for Rihanna and Mariah and J-Lo, whole bunch of people. Here's what it says. Celebrity makeup artist Mila Morales testified about a 2010 fight in a hotel room between Diddy and Cassie that left Cassie with a swollen eye and a busted lip. Here's what that's about. We heard about this. This was introduced, I believe, in the opening statements as one of the stories we were going to hear about. Cassie went to a party at Prince's. Prince. You know, Prince. Quite frankly, if I'm Diddy, I don't want to send Cassie over to Prince's house either. I understand that. Just knowing what Prince is known for and the kind of girl that Prince is into. And I could tell you, there ain't a whole lot of a distance between an Apollonia or a Vanity and a young Cassie. I'm telling you. So Diddy didn't want her going. But apparently she went anyway, and Diddy found out about it, and he lost his shit. So here's how the makeup artist describes Diddy losing his shit on Cassie going to a Prince party. Celebrity makeup artist Mila Morales testified about a 2010 fight in a hotel room between Sean Diddy Combs and his longtime girlfriend Cassie Ventura that left Cassie with a swollen eye and a busted lip. Morales said it was the weekend, excuse me, Hold on. Sorry, I lost my place here for a second. Oh, that's why we do editing, right? Morales said it was the weekend of the Grammys when Ventura attended a party at Prince's house. An irate Combs came into the hotel room where Cassie was having her makeup done, saying, "Where the F is she? Where the F is she?" So he comes busting into the hotel suite. By the way, they say the hotel room. They keep saying hotel rooms. Ain't none of these hotel rooms. These are all hotel suites. These are all like apartments in fancy hotels. So he comes busting in. He's like 2 rooms away. Where the fuck is she? Where the fuck? He's doing that. So they're like, oh, God, here he comes. We got 5 seconds before he gets into this room and starts screaming. Morales said it was the weekend of the Grammys when she had attended a Prince party, and irate Combs came into the hotel room where the makeup artist and Ventura were. He started screaming, "Where the F is she?" Then Cassie and Diddy went into a bedroom, and Morales could overhear yelling and screaming coming from the bedroom. Afterward, Combs stormed out and left, and Ventura emerged from the room with a swollen eye and a busted lip. She took a distraught and upset Ventura to her house and called a doctor over who said Ventura did not have a concussion. Morales said she didn't call the cops because she feared for her life. All right, so there's the makeup artist. She feared for her life. That's a different answer than we heard from George Kramer, Diddy's assistant, who said that he didn't call the cops because he just dug hanging with Diddy too much. Didn't want to ruin that. That was all for her. Was not very much. She was just there to establish another pattern, another beating, again, I don't know what that does to help the prosecution's case. Again, it's just another example of domestic abuse, which is not something he's being charged with. The final person of the day, we got Friedrich Zimur. He is the, I'm probably not saying that right. He's the manager of a fancy hotel there in Beverly Hills. He's the general manager of the La Hermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills. He testified that Combs would occasionally stay there, and he would book under different names. So he was brought in to establish aliases. The alias that we've heard established already is Frank Black. He shared that Frank Black is a name that Diddy would use from time to time, but also Ryan Lopez. Ooh, new Diddy alias. Ryan Lopez. Let's see, the manager of the La Hermitage. He also divulged internal notes. Apparently, big celebrities, when they stay at nice hotels, the manager keeps notes about what the celebrity likes and what their demands are and things that you should expect when this celebrity stays. And let me tell you, Diddy had an interesting one. The La Hermitage Hotel's internal notes about Combs detailed how rooms that the Bad Boy Records founder stayed in had to be placed out of order for deep cleaning because he always, quote, spilled candle wax on everything. Dude, that ain't candle wax. I got news for you. I don't know if you've been listening to the trial. That ain't candle wax. Anyway, whenever Diddy stayed at this particular hotel, the hotel would have to close the room down for a few days and get a real deep cleaning in there. What else does it say? It says, whenever Diddy stayed there, here was a note on his file. So there was a note on his file. Please authorize an extra $1,000 when guest stays with us to cover any room damage. So he damages the room so much that there's the $1,000, surcharge just to let him in the door. Combs also likes his rooms hot, very hot, the profile notes. Really? Not me. I like a cold hotel room, right? Air conditioned. I like a nice cold hotel room. Hot. Like a nice and cold. Hotel rooms always have good comforters. Like good, so you like it cold. You want to get under the comforters. And if you're like staying alone, it's one of them king size bed. And so you got like 10 pillows. Hot? Diddy likes his hotel rooms hot? He likes his hotel rooms hot, and he likes applesauce on his cheeseburgers. I'm losing patience for this guy. Combs likes his rooms hot. It says, once on January 10th, 2010, hotel staff found large deposits of candle wax on carpets in the living room area and on nightstands in a bedroom. Combs was charged $500 in damages for that particular stay. Staff also notes on his internal file that odors come from his room. It's like, weed. You're going to smell weed coming from Diddy's room. They're just letting you know. And it says, here's the response to that. So he's doing drugs. He's doing drugs in his room, and he's stinking up the hallway, smoking big old blunts and all that kind of stuff. So here's the note. The note says, please monitor outside his room and station down the hallway air freshener spray. So they're not like, that's the difference between being Diddy staying at the La Hermitage, Beverly Hills, and like me staying at the Red Roof Inn in Texarkana, right? I'm smoking weed in my room. There's going to be some like local security guard or somebody banging on it. Don't be smoking weed in that room, right? They don't give a shit. When you're fancy, when you're rich and fancy, they don't care. They're like, we want them to stay here again. We don't care if they're smoking weed in there. But he smoked so much weed in his room that the hotel had a note to keep air freshener spray stashed somewhere in the hallway. All right. Staff routinely noted odors coming from the room. Please monitor outside, stash, room spray, and air freshener. All right, that was it. He said goodnight, and that was it for today. As I say, the great Judge Aram Subramaniam is keeping this thing on a tight schedule, and I'm very appreciative of that. He ended court today right at 3 o'clock again, getting out of there 3 o'clock Eastern time every day. I like that. It works for my schedule. Got out of there at 3 o'clock and then announced that there will be no more court until after Memorial Day. So we're on a break, kids. Look at us. We're going to have, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Not going to have one tomorrow. Not going to have one Monday. We will come back on Tuesday for day 10 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial from Manhattan in a federal courtroom. We are expecting on Tuesday when we come back to hear from Capricorn Clark, who is one of Diddy's personal assistants. We've already heard from 2 personal assistants, but Capricorn has been name-checked a couple of times concerning a couple of strange little stories. So hopefully we'll get some more light shed on some things that we heard in the first 9 days. Also, I would like to encourage you, check out my daily talk radio show. It's called The Rant with me, Pugs Moran. You can find that by going to Radio Misfits anywhere, YouTube, Facebook, Radio Misfits, anywhere. Or Pugs and Company. Pugs and Company will also get you there. Every day I record a hot topic conversation type show, trends, lifestyle. I don't do politics. I don't want to hear, talk radio in this country is nothing but people screaming at you because they don't like how you voted or whatever. I hate that. I do talk radio for normal Americans, just neighborly talk radio. Yeah, sometimes we do cross lines. Yeah, sometimes we get a little bit provocative. And yeah, sometimes, we say some things the FCC might not be happy about. But that's okay because we don't do politics. We just do talk radio for normal people every day, Monday through Friday. With me, Pugs Moran, here at RadioMisfits.com. You guys have yourself an incredible Memorial Day weekend. Keep a good thought for all of our well, hell, maybe you're somebody. Maybe you're somebody who served. Well, no, that's not what Memorial Day is. Yeah, no. What is Memorial Day? Memorial Day is for people who died, right? People who died in wars. Veterans Day is for keep a good thought. That's all I'm saying. Take a minute and go, you know what? We live in a great country. We live in a great country where we can be entertained by the likes of a Sean Diddy Combs being raked over the coals in a New York federal courthouse. It's a great country. And there are people who gave their lives for that. Have yourself a great Memorial Day. We'll be back on Tuesday for night 10 of Sean Diddy Combs on trial. It's Diddy or Didn't He with me, Pugs Moran, on the RadioMisfits.com podcast platform.